Howdy, folks, and welcome to the third episode on writing our Huckleberry Finn essay. Today, we're actually going to get to outlining, putting some ideas, some content into our essays. And just a quick reminder of things that we've looked at. We've looked at the resources that Mr. Restad has provided for you guys. We've generated some ideas about our topic, and we've also written our introduction using the nice acronym HAPMAT. If you haven't done any of those, take a look back over the past two episodes. If you haven't done your idea generation, it is up on Google Classroom, right here on Essay Topic, which I want you to take a look at the essay topics, which I've also listed in Google Classroom. Decide which one you want to write about and the stance that you're taking in writing about that. If you're going to write about the Mississippi River being a symbol of freedom, tell me why it's a symbol of freedom. If you're going to write about Huck's moral development, tell me how Huck develops over the course of the story. Give me something that's a little more focused than I want to write on prompt 1. All right. So when it comes to outlining our ideas, what we're going to do is put in the work. This is where you show up to the party with your bean dip, man. You've got to have your note catcher, or at least something similar to a note catcher. Whether you use this one or not, that's up to you. You've got to have this filled up. You've got to have some sense of where your ideas are going to come from when you sit down to write this essay. Don't sit down to write this essay without having found 3 pieces of evidence which are going to support your idea, your stance on that essay topic. If you need some help, take a look at the essential chapter outline that I provided right here. Gives you the chapter and the important scene that I think you want to take a look at, and then it's your job, it's your work to go find a direct quote which supports your idea. Once you have those 3 pieces of evidence, what I want you to do is I want you to open up this essay. And it'll be in Huckleberry Finn Literary Analysis. You might actually have to click on this link and then open this guy, but I've got mine open right here. You can see I've already updated all of my MLA formatting except for my title. I haven't picked a title yet. And this is my HAPMAT. This is my introductory paragraph written using that acronym HAPMAT. It's not the best in the world, but it's a good start. I'll have to come back and do a little bit of editing. You can see what else I've done is I've highlighted the main point of my entire essay. Huck's own morality is confirmed. Every sentence, every idea that I put in after this first paragraph has to confirm this idea. Otherwise, writers get confused or readers get confused. I lose direction, and it just does not go well. I'm not making a good argument unless I stay on topic. So I've got this highlighted and underlined right now to remind me that I need to talk about Huck's own morality being confirmed. So what I'm actually going to start with is a quote. And I've taken a look, and I actually pulled this quote from one of my students, which is a great quote from chapter 13, page 72. And I'm just going to drop this in here as my first piece of evidence. This piece of evidence is about how Huck feels bad after he takes the boat of the murderers from the wreck of the Walter Scott. Now, I can't just have a floating quote right here, so I'm going to remind myself, transition, to write a little introduction into this quote so people know what I'm talking about. So now I've got this idea, okay, I'm writing about him feeling bad about killing some murderers. I need to come back to this idea about his own morality being confirmed. And since I'm taking this from the beginning of the story and it's my first quote, I think that's where I want to start. I want to start with Huckleberry Finn at the beginning of his life saying, hey, even though he had this weird family situation, he still came out all right. So I'm going to work on that. And it's going to be ugly. This is the part of writing where it's not pretty, but you just have to get your ideas on the page and be okay with changing them and working with them because they're not going to be perfect the first time they come out. So this topic sentence that is going to encompass this entire paragraph might go something like, despite Huck being raised in an abusive and irregular family environment, he still developed a strong sense of right and wrong. Fix these really quick. Strong sense of right and wrong, especially when it comes to saving human life. Because I want to tie this topic sentence in with this idea of, my quote, whatever evidence I'm using. So now I've got to give some context. I've got to link this first sentence to my quote here. So I'll say something like, in chapter 13, Puck is faced with a split second decision to either save his own life and condemn a pack of criminals to death by drowning in Mississippi, or to take his chances with the thieves. After stealing their boat, basically killing them. Let's say the criminals, just so I have this boat basically killing them. Puck starts to worry about his conscience. Not a great sentence, but it's alright. Then I'm going to say my transition. He thinks now is the first time that I began to worry about the man, and I finished up that quote. Cool. First couple of sentences done. Now I need to reflect back on this quote and tell me why this proves that he worries about human life. Since I already used despite, up here maybe I'll come up with something else saying, even though Puck wants to see justice and maybe even death brought down upon these bad folks, he does not think it is just that he was the one to condemn them. I can go a little bit further. This shows Puck cares deeply about human life, and let's say because he could potentially see himself in the shoes of the murderers. Because he even says, I might come to be a murderer myself. He might see himself in the shoes of the murderers. Himself, let's say, he see himself too, and I'm going to re-quote this sentence right here. Himself to be a murderer myself, yeah, period. Quotation. Cool. So this is looking like a decent paragraph now. The last thing I need is a transition, and transitions are tough. So what your job will be is to take a quote, drop it in, build your topic sentence, your context, and your commentary around it. And then what I would do is I would go back after you have all three created and figure out how to transition from one idea to the next. So how do I go to this idea about him feeling sorry for the murderers and wanting to save them and wanting to save basically everybody, to whatever my next quote and determination will be. So these aren't going to be perfect paragraphs yet, but they're going to be a way to get us started. We're going to have to add to this, but if you follow this outline and kind of do like I did, struggle a little bit, I have total faith that by the end of it, we're going to come up with great paragraph writing. I know that one was a little bit long, but it turns out the writing process is a little bit long. So best of luck, and I will see you next time.